I wanted to share with you my experience with a Mongolian shaman today. Now, I've seen shaman all over South America, the United States, and now here in Mongolia. And what I find intriguing is that even though these people are completely different, their training is different, they're different backgrounds, they're worlds apart from each other, the information they're giving me is consistent, and it gives me a sense of validity. Typically, when I talk to shaman in South America, it's a completely different process. They go through a process where they drink ayahuasca or they drink some other herbal, products that they make there in the Amazon. And I take them too. And when I do a reading with them or an ayahuasca treatment, we start about 8 o'clock at night and we end about 6 in the morning typically. So it's about 10 hours, sometimes up to 12. And the process involves them taking me on a journey to the other side. And the shaman is guiding me. He's basically taking me to meet spirits from the other side. They're going to guide me and teach me things that I need to learn. And it's very interesting because it's all happening in my head. He's there, and sometimes he'll say and do things to kind of guide me, but typically it's all happening up here. And it has a very profound effect. I mean, throughout the whole process, sometimes I'm hallucinating, I'm seeing things in my past, I'm seeing things in my future. And every time I've done it, it's been totally different, and it's always been very helpful to me. Now, in the United States, I don't drink anything. I just see the shaman. He does other treatments. He talks to me. He uses sounds. He gives me rituals to do. So does the shaman in South America. And all of these rituals that they give me are meant to fix or change things that are happening in my life so that they're in my favor. Now, when I went to the Mongolian shaman, it was very similar, but it was about an hour. She put on a lot of very extensive clothing. She puts on all these clothes, and we could have went out to her yurt in the countryside, and the whole thing is decorated really cool. She has an awesome outfit, and I'm sure it would have been a really awesome experience, and I'll do that next time I was here. But there was a lot of traffic, and I think she had some things to do. So I met at her house where she had a special room dedicated to this. A lot of religious items, a lot of items that she uses to attract and connect her to the spirit world. So basically, the shamans over here, they're intermediaries. They're like a medium. They speak with spirits from the spirit world and with you. And she was passing messages. She explained to me during my conversations before how it works. There's basically emerged shamans that over the years, the ability just kind of develops. And some people, it's lineage. It comes to their bloodline. And she has in her bloodline, she's had it for multiple generations. But she says that she was more of an emerged. It kind of just came out when she was about 8 years old. She just started being able to communicate with spirits from the other side. The interesting thing is that the shaman in South America told me something very similar. He said that it comes from a bloodline, and very rarely, but it can happen as an emerged shaman. He told me it was his great-grandfather, his grandfather, like multiple generations, great-great-great-grandfather, and he was born with the ability. But he said if he crossed the line or if he did basically like black magic, he would lose his abilities instantly. They're only trained to do good, and that's all they're supposed to do. And if they ever do anything bad, that's it. They're gone. They lose their lineage is broken, so they can't even pass it on to the next generation. So it's interesting. Now, my shaman in the United States, he's more of an emerged shaman. He talked to me how it developed one time. He was living on the East Coast, and it prompted him to move to the West Coast. And he teaches classes on shamanism. And from what I understand, if you take them, you can develop some of these abilities. I'm not sure how different it would be from the others, but that's what, his philosophy is. Now, over here, again, she's an emerged, and there's black and there's white shamans. And she's basically a white shaman. They focus on intellect, intelligence. And during my reading with her, she went into a trance. She started beating a drum, doing a dance, moving all around, and she just started talking in all sorts of different languages. Now, I've been here almost 2 weeks, and I don't understand, but I recognize the Mongolian language. And she was not speaking Mongolian. In fact, the languages kept varying. The way they sounded, the tone. In fact, it almost sounded like, or it did sound like different people were speaking to her. The voices were feminine sometimes they were masculine. They were talking totally different languages. She told me afterwards that she was basically channeling about 10 different people. And these people through her were coming through to give me divine guidance, basically, to tell me what I need to know. And then the interesting thing is she had her husband next to her, and he was like her assistant. He knew what to do. He was handing her bowls of milk, of yak milk. He was giving her like seeds of buckwheat, barley. He was giving her different things that she was using on me and handing to me. Alcohol, and she prescribed to me about 4 different rituals to do, and she was giving me the items in little plastic bags, and each of these had a different purpose, and it's basically homework. It's stuff that I need to do at home to resolve the specific issues that she identified that I need to work on. And those issues were very similar to the ones that the other shamans mentioned. Like you might say, well, why am I having to work on it again? Well, you know, it's a process like everything. Things have improved in my life. I have a good life. I shouldn't say like it was so low or something that I need to do a lot of improvements, but I've seen changes. I've seen improvements in things I've been working on as a person, as a human being. And like I said, she identified a lot of the same things, but she gave me a different approach on how to work on them. So I'm definitely going to do those assignments. But I found it interesting that her husband was involved, and he was basically the translator. So she was speaking these different languages. It was as if they were passing this information onto her, and then briefly she would speak, and I think Mongolian, and her husband was speaking back to her, interacting with her. It was almost like he was part of the process. And I did read that they have assistants, and because he is her husband, he's like her soulmate. Then he was ingesting this information, and then he was like basically translating it to the translator that I had with me that was translating it to me in English. So there was 4 of us. It was like a chain. For me to be able to understand, we all needed to be there because the shaman and her husband didn't speak English. Now, we went on for a while. I didn't hear anything in the room changing or moving. It was just coming from her. You could feel the energy emitting from it. And one thing that was really shocking to me and fascinating was that she brought up my necklace. Now, this necklace is a very powerful tool I received for the shamans in South America. 2 shamans that I saw me and immediately saw that I had some issues with the spirit that was attached to me from an ex-wife that I had, or an ex-partner. And they gave me this as protection. Now, these are sacred. This is a jaguar tooth. They don't give them out lightly. The shaman in South America work with spirits from the natural world, like water, fire, wind, and the most powerful one is the jaguar. And they said that when the jaguars are dying, they call out to the shaman to come look for them. They give them their location to harvest their body, their skin, their tissue, their bones, to use in rituals. So this was part of that process. And the jaguar spirit guided them and told them to give it to me for protection. Now, I cherish it dearly. No one's supposed to touch it. And this Mongolian shaman specifically asked me for it. So I thought, no one's supposed to touch it. But I followed, I listened, I pulled it out. She held it in her hand and she said, this is a very powerful tool, and no women are supposed to touch it. That's exactly what my shaman in South America said. Women are not supposed to touch it, but that she could touch it, and that she was charging it, as my shaman in South America does every time I see him. Then she handed it back to me. She was very impressed by it, apparently. She said that it was a very, very powerful tool, and, to always keep it with me. So anyway, that was my experience with a medium or a shaman here in Mongolia. I hope that helps. And again, my purpose for seeing these shamans is for guidance, personal development. Again, these are doctors. They're healthcare practitioners. They've been around for thousands of years, and they've been helping people in the ancient world heal, but not only physically like we do here in the Western world with allopathic medicine, which is what I practice. They help us heal you spiritually and psychologically. And I find it fascinating because, a lot of the people I see, they have psychosomatic problems. They have physical problems, they have cancers, they have all sorts of different things. But a lot of times it's caused because of spiritual or psychological issues that they have. So I appreciate that these shamans, they really get to the root of what the issue might be. They look at the spiritual and the psychological, and they work on that to kind of tweak your physical. And they work in tune with allopathic medicine. They don't work against it. They don't chastise it. They embrace it. They work collectively to try to resolve some of the issues that we have and to develop us spiritually, physically, and psychologically. So, an interesting thing with these shamans is a lot of them are emerged. And I've heard that also with psychics. Like my cousin Barbara, she's a psychic, and she said sometime in her late teens, I think it was early 20s, she was in San Francisco. She drank a Pepsi while she was walking on her driveway, and her psychic abilities just appeared to her. and she started to be able to connect with spirits from the other side, and they were guiding her, and that's how they started teaching her how to guide other people. So it's interesting how, you know, my cousin, these shamans of South America and United States, here in Mongolia, they're all connecting to this energy that's all around us. They're connecting to the other side, and they're working with the energy and the information they're receiving to help heal and guide people in this world. So if you can allow yourself to accept this kind of energy, this guidance, it can be a very powerful tool in this lifetime for you. So thank you for listening. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do like and share the video. And from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, this is Dr. Ernesto. Thank you and goodbye.